If you're a woman over 50, there's a good chance you've been lied to about hormone replacement therapy, that it causes cancer, your doctor won't prescribe it, or if they will, they're only going to let you take it for a couple of years before pulling you off. In this video, we're going to go over, first, the study that changed everything in 2002 and what it actually said versus what you were told it said. Second, what 2 decades of new research says about what HRT does and doesn't do to your body. And third, your actual playbook, the real next steps, including what to do if you think you've already missed your window. I know this because I've been a Menopause Society member since 2023, studied menopause at the Mayo Clinic, and everything you've been through, I've been through too. By the end of this video, you're going to have total clarity on HRT, what the science actually says, and exactly what to do next, custom for you. Let's go. There's one study from 2002 that's still basically running the whole HRT conversation today. It's called the Women's Health Initiative, the WHI, a massive US government study that started in the 90s of over 16,000 women. Half got HRT and half got a placebo, nothing. And the goal was to find out if HRT could prevent heart disease. Sounds straightforward, right? But not so fast. First of all, the estrogen they used was called Premarin, pregnant mare urine. Premarin is made from the pee of pregnant horses. Their pee is full of estrogen, so they collect it, process it, and turn it into the hormone pills these women took. Horse estrogen looks like human estrogen, but it's not the same. And your cells know the difference. But that's not all. At the same time, they took a fake synthetic hormone called medroxyprogesterone acetate, MPA. Again, not identical to what your body actually makes. But the bigger problem was the number they put in the headlines. They reported a 26% relative risk increase for breast cancer. That sounds terrifying, but relative risk is a comparison between two groups, not a measure of your actual real life odds. The absolute increase in risk was actually 8 in 10,000, which is 0.08%, less than 1/10 of 1%. It's a difference between a scary headline and a nearly meaningless number. And then there's who was actually in the study. The average participant was 63 years old. Most of them were more than 10 years past menopause when they started. Not the typical women who would start HRT for menopause. That summer, there was a big press conference that announced the WHI stopped the estrogen plus progesterone group early because of that 26% relative number. What they didn't do was review their data and publish it. So the media and the doctors were blindsided by just having one misleading number instead of the full picture. Typically, trial data is shared with doctors in advance, giving them time to review findings and prepare for treatment changes. This didn't happen here. After the dramatic public announcement, doctors panicked and pulled women off HRT overnight. HRT prescriptions dropped 85% that year. And I know this personally because it happened to me. I was on vacation in Europe in my late 40s, and one night we were all having dinner. Some people at the dinner were doctors from Sweden talking about how they'd given their wives HRT in their 40s and how much they liked it. They were just happier in general, with an easy transition into menopause and better quality of life. They weren't worried or scared about breast cancer or heart disease or dementia. It was just a casual conversation, and they were confident it was the right move for their own family. Almost at menopause myself, I was really interested in what they were saying, and I wanted this for myself. European physicians weren't waiting on the FDA. They were reading the international body of research, and that dinner sent me home to do the same. What I found changed everything. We'll get back to that. Before we get into the new science, I want to give you something my research team and I actually built for you. It's our vetted HRT Rolodex, and it's free. It's every place we actually trust to get quality HRT, broken out by what you might be looking for, telehealth, in-person specialists, and the highest standards for choosing a provider. We did the vetting so you don't have to. You can get it right here. Because first, I want to tell you what just happened in February 2026. After more than 20 years of new research, the FDA went over the full body of evidence and they removed the black box warning from HRT. That's their strictest warning. They admitted they were wrong. But before we talk about what HRT does, let's talk about what's happening in your body without it. After menopause, your estradiol levels drop somewhere around 3 to 10 picograms per milliliter. That's essentially zero. Your body's running on basically nothing. Before menopause, your estradiol swings between 20 and 750 picograms per milliliter throughout your cycle. Then around age 48, your median is around 120. Then between ages 49 and 50, it falls off a cliff. A standard HRT patch brings you somewhere around 57 to 89 picograms per milliliter. That's still very low. So you're not being flooded with hormones. You're being lifted from zero. That's the whole point. But why do you even want it? There's a few good reasons that are not getting enough attention even today. First, looking at osteoporosis. Your bones are like a construction site, constantly being broken down and rebuilt, kind of like your skin. You have a demolition crew, called your osteoclasts, tearing out the old damaged bone. Then the construction crew, the osteoblasts, come in and build fresh new bone. Estrogen keeps your construction crew on the job. Without estrogen, the demolition crew starts outpacing construction, and now you're losing more than you're building. And it happens fast. We lose about 20% of our bone mass in the first 5 years after menopause. A 2026 study from the American Academy of Orthopedic Surgeons looked over 137,000 postmenopausal women under 60. Women who started HRT early had 21% lower osteoporosis risk, 13% lower fracture risk. And here's something that doesn't get talked about enough. Progesterone plus estrogen is better for your bones than just estrogen alone. Sometimes the results in a study happen because of random chance, not from what they're studying. And that's why scientists use something called a p-score, a statistical measure of did it happen by chance or did this really happen? The p-value on HRT helping your bones was 0.0001, meaning they were 99.99% sure HRT helps your bones. So your bones are covered, but here's where it gets really interesting because the same estrogen protecting your skeleton is doing something just as critical for your heart. A Cochrane meta-analysis, a study of studies of women who started HRT within 10 years of menopause had a 30 to 50% lower heart attack risk. Same findings from the original WHI study. Women who started within 10 years of menopause had 12% less heart events, like heart attacks. But there's a catch. Women who started 10 years after menopause had a 23% more heart issues. Starting 20 years out showed an even higher risk at 66%. We're going to get more into this timing window later in the video, but the way HRT affects your heart is actually pretty simple. Estrogen is protective in healthy blood vessels, but in vessels that already have built up plaque, the picture changes. The ELITE trial tested this directly. Women who started estradiol within 6 years of menopause had slower artery thickening compared to placebo. The ones who started 10 years or more out showed no benefit. But it's not just your heart, it's also how you look. Us ladies lose up to 30% of our skin collagen in the first 5 years after menopause. A systematic review and meta-analysis found better skin elasticity, thickness, collagen content, and wrinkle depth with HRT. How's it work? Estrogen increases outermost and deeper skin thickness, collagen, elastin content, and moisture retention. So your skin, bones, heart. The evidence is stacking up, but the jury's still kind of out on HRT and the brain. So I want to go over what we know so far. Observational studies tend to show good associations between HRT and cognition, but randomized controlled trials, the gold standard of research, have more neutral results. It might be because of something called healthy user bias. Because women who choose HRT tend to be healthier, more educated, and have better brain reserve to start with. So that messes with the data. What the best early evidence actually shows is more nuanced. The KEEPS neuroimaging study showed estradiol patches protected prefrontal cortex volume over 7 years and was linked with lower brain plaque buildup. But oral horse estrogen, the old 2002 formula, actually increased the type of brain damage called white matter lesions. So far, it looks like the old horse hormones were giving you brain damage and the new ones are protecting you. The bottom line, no one should start HRT specifically to prevent dementia. It's not proven, at least not yet. So clearly, HRT does a lot more than just hot flashes. And once my team and I went over all the new research, I started to wonder, why have we been kept in the dark for so long? Imagine men had hot flashes, night sweats, mood swings, bone loss, exhaustion, and brain fog. It would be a national emergency. Men can walk into any doctor's office and get testosterone to optimize their hormones. I went to my doctor complaining about all the same things. Brain fog, exhaustion, lack of sleep, just like not feeling like myself. Instead of a hormone conversation, she handed me a prescription and told me I'd feel much better. I filled it out down the hall, and when I got home, I took it. A couple days later, I looked it up and realized it was an SSRI for depression called Paxil, not a menopause solution. I stopped taking it right away. So when you complain, they give you a happy pill. Turns out she was just untrained. Medical schools give doctors less than 2 hours of menopause education total. 80% of them report feeling barely comfortable treating menopause. And hang on, wait for this one. There are only 4,000 Menopause Society certified doctors in the entire United States, and 6,000 women start menopause every single day. Would you board a plane if you found out the pilot had 2 hours of simulator time? That's the situation you're in when you see a general practitioner about menopause. Because it's not about bad doctors, it's a systematic failure in medical education. Menopause is just not a priority. Now, let's talk about the question that fills my comments every single week. The number one question I get on this channel is it too late for me? This is especially for the women who are around 50 in 2002 when HRT was pulled out from under them. The women who've been white knuckling it for 20 plus years. You might have heard there's a golden window where you need to start HRT within 10 years of menopause. And if you don't, you're just SOL. So where did it come from? Starting early, within 10 years of menopause and under age 60, gives you a more favorable cardiac risk-benefit ratio because your heart is usually healthier when you're younger and weaker when you're older. But here's what the global menopause authorities actually say about the golden window today. The British Menopause Society, no arbitrary limits should be placed on the dose of HRT, duration of usage, or age of women taking treatment. The International Menopause Society, there are no reasons to place mandatory limitations on the duration of HRT. The Menopause Society, formerly NAMS, HRT does not need to be routinely discontinued in women older than 60 or 65 and can be considered for continuation for persistent symptoms and quality of life or osteoporosis prevention after appropriate evaluation. So the reality is something like this. If you wait till you're older and sicker, you might continue to get older and sicker. That's really what this is about. Looking back at the WHI study that scared us all off HRT, the average age of participants was 63, so most of them were more than 10 years past menopause, and many had pre-existing cardiovascular risk factors. Plus, they were on horse estrogen and synthetic progesterone, both formulations that are not recommended today. Despite all this, the 18-year follow-up had no meaningful difference in cardiovascular or cancer death. Given that the safety profile was that good, even back then, with the wrong hormones and the wrong population, it tells you how overblown the fear has been. And the most current data makes this even clearer. In this 2026 Danish study of over 875,000 women, all-cause mortality in the HRT group was actually lower than women who never took it. And when they broke it down on how long they were taking it, the women taking HRT for 5 to 10 years had even more protection. The longer they used it, the better it looked. But even if you start HRT and it's going well for you, there's something deadly that no one warns you about. A Kaiser Permanente study of nearly 81,000 women found hip fracture risks jumps to 55% after stopping HRT. It's a few years later and it goes up to 77%. The heart data is just as shocking. This 2018 study looked at over 430,000 women who just stopped taking HRT. Their cardiac death risk, like heart attacks and strokes, was up to 2 times higher in the first year after stopping. This 2015 study of 330,000 plus women had similar results. This raises serious questions about the routine practice of stopping HRT based on your doctor's lack of education and general fear. The bottom line on timing is this: there are no strict evidence-based cutoffs on HRT. What should actually drive the window is your unique individual profile, symptom relief, quality of life, and your individual risk. Everybody's different. Personally, I plan to take HRT as long as it's still working for me. So now you know the when. Let's talk about the what, because not HRT is the same, and the wrong kind is exactly what gave it the bad name in the first place, starting with estrogen. You've probably heard the patch is better than the pill, but that's not the full picture. When you take an oral estrogen pill, it gets processed by your liver. Specifically, your liver makes more clotting proteins. That's why there's more blood clot and stroke risk associated with oral estrogens, but not heart attack risk. The skin-based estrogen, like creams or the patch, absorb directly through your skin and into your bloodstream, skipping the liver. So the patch sounds like a no-brainer, right? Menopause authorities like the Endocrine Society and NICE in the UK recommend skin over oral estrogen if you are obese, have heart attack disease risk factors, or clotting risk factors. Personally, I take the oral estrogen because my health profile supports it and I don't have any major clotting risk factors. I'm not obese anymore, and now I'm 99% heart attack proof. At the end of the day, it's between you and your menopause trained practitioner. There's no one size fits all. Now, estrogen is only half the equation. Fears around progesterone also come from that 2002 WHI study, of course. They used fake synthetic progesterone called MPA. It has a different molecular structure from what your ovaries ever made naturally. MPA can bind to androgen, glucocorticoid, and mineralocorticoid hormone receptors in ways that your body never intended. It has 10 to 100 times more biologic activity than natural progesterone. The WHI study had double the blood clot risk and 27% higher breast cancer risk from this MPA. Observational studies on similar synthetics found almost triple the clot risk. This is the wrong progesterone, and now we know. Think of it like butter versus margarine. They all look and feel the same, but your body knows the difference. So what's the solution? Today, it's the gold standard micronized progesterone. It's bioidentical to the progesterone your ovaries make. Bioidentical progesterone HRT shows no increase of clot or breast cancer risk, and even some protection for both. So when it comes to actually getting your hands on HRT, especially bioidentical, the right stuff, there's a myth I believed for years, and so did almost every woman I know. My friends and I used to think that the only way to get bioidentical hormones was from a compounding pharmacy. It was never true. FDA-approved body-identical HRT has been around since 1998. And here's the thing about compounding. If you're a friend roast your own coffee, each batch is different. You're just not sure what you're going to get. But when you go to Starbucks, you know you're getting the same thing every time. Compounded HRT is not reviewed by the FDA for safety, effectiveness, or quality. Independent testing shows it can be more than 200% different from the dose you're supposed to get. Now, I'm not 100% against compounding. It can be useful when there's a shortage or dosing needs that aren't available commercially, or if you're allergic to an ingredient in the branded version. Plus, there are FDA-regulated compounding pharmacies that follow strict quality and safety standards. And you can get products that have even been batch tested by independent third-party labs to help ensure accurate dosing and purity. But now that you know all this, how do you actually set up the conversation with your doctor? After that dinner in Europe, I came home and I asked my own doctor for HRT. He said no. So I looked up the research and found the white papers and I brought them to my next appointment. We went back and forth and eventually he said yes. Point is, the system's been misleading women since 2002 and we all need to stick up for ourselves. There's a lot to look out for when you're choosing your HRT provider. The formulation, the delivery method, whether they actually specialize in menopause, it's all really important. And you want it to be custom to you. You might be over 70, you might want testosterone, you might want to go in person or do telehealth, you might have been turned down by a doctor, maybe you don't even know where to start, or you're just completely overwhelmed. That's why we made a vetted HRT Rolodex, which you can get right here. It's totally free. Now, you know more about HRT than most doctors. I don't know about you, but I lived the biggest part of my life from 30 to 60. I had multiple careers, started companies, I had children, and I had a lot of fun. And I want to do it again from 60 to 90. I don't want to spend any of those years in a nursing home, what I call the permanent hospital, right? I'm doing everything I can to keep myself as young and vibrant as possible so I can have as much fun as possible. If you feel the same way, you might want to check out my next video about exactly what I'd do if I had osteoporosis today. See you in the next video because your health is the ultimate luxury.